Today I'm ready to do the resin pour. I've got this built up. It's built up so it won't overflow this way. And it's also underneath of here, so it won't go down and then in and make a colossal mess. And I also put a double layer of 2-inch tape, so it's about 4 inches high on the back, so I don't get it on this backsplash. I don't care if I get it there. I'll probably do a layer of caulk there. This has been all sealed in the past with a latex caulk, because that's what the resin will stick to latex. It won't stick to silicone, so don't use silicone. Okay, so I think we're pretty much ready for a resin pour. I might put a little bit more tape there, make sure it doesn't get on this backsplash, and maybe even over there. I got to do another layer over there, but we're getting ready. Okay, so I am set up to do a resin pour, and I'm going to do my main pour in here. It's going to be black. I'm going to use a latex black paint. Then I'll be adding some of this. It's a black mica powder, so it has a shine to it. I'm going to have accents of bronze and smaller accents of white. They're all mica powders. This one's silver, not white. But predominantly, my predominant color will be black, and then bronze is the secondary color, and then the silver is the third color. I desperately need to keep gloves on because this is a really messy job. So, yep, if you're doing this, wear gloves. I took my watch off, but I will need my watch. Virginia's going to help me with this. I will need my watch for a timer. So that is sitting over there on the chair, which Virginia can either use her phone or mine, whatever. Now I left this here because this is, when I have extra resin, I'll pour it over this, so I don't waste anything. But I'll pour it over this, and then once this is all full, I'll cut this into pieces and make pens or knife scales or something interesting out of it. And there's a crepe myrtle burl in here. This is an exotic wood. This is spalted maple. I've got bits and pieces of other resin pours, things like that. This is Paduke. So they're long grain, they're end grain, they're all different levels. This is an ambrosia maple. And I also have, which I really find interesting, are these pods. That's a pod.
I got it.
Thank you. This is a pod from a magnolia tree, and I think that might be really cool in a pen. And I like to put in, you can see how one is thicker than the other. I like to put in the thinner one first because I got to pull it up from the inside. So I'm just going to pour. See how thin that is? And you'll notice the next one isn't anywhere near that thin. So that's a good start. And now I'm looking at what I got left over, and that's approximately half of this. So that's what I'm going to try and get out of this bottle. Sometimes I'll mark on the inside and measure it so I know it's exact. But see how thick this one is? Pretty thick. So I'm going to stop that from flowing. See if they're about the same. I gotta wait for that to go down and make sure that these are at the same. Probably don't need to do it for 5 minutes. I could probably get away with 3.5 or maybe less because this drill mixes it very quickly. So we put a clear coat on this and it just didn't work. I'm gonna have to sand it and put another clear coat on, but it's gotta be like really warm in here. And it says it's 75, but it's not warm. So I don't know if you can see little dimples. It's up to see. Anyway.
Looks like the blob. Wow.
Yeah, it's cold in here, which is why it's doing this. But let me see if I can get it to spread regardless. I've never had it this cold before, so I'm hoping this works out.
Maybe we should crank up the heat a little bit.
Yeah, it should be warmer in here with the neighbors.
Okay, you're on.
This is a perfect example of what not to do. Working in a situation where it's too cold. So I can't work with this. So I'm scraping it up and I'm throwing it out. Is it an expensive mistake? Yes. And I gotta get it level enough so the next layer I do put on here is over the top of it. That makes sense. So I'm not sure why, but this stuff got so thick that it wasn't working. It's 75 degrees in here, that's what it says. But it is so thick that it could have been the paint that I put in there. I don't know, but it's a colossal waste, a big expense. And
What am I doing now?
this is isopropyl alcohol that Virginia is spraying on there, and it helps loosen the
resin?
resin, yeah, and yeah, that's what you use to get it off your hands. It also leaves these things called cells, but we're nowhere near that. I have never had a problem like this with resin, but
It's always the first, right? And you learn, phew, this stuff stinks.
yeah, so big mistake, big expense. Make sure it's warm enough. Maybe you don't put paint in it.
In the middle of winter.
It's not the middle of winter, so I'm not sure that's it. I think it might have been the paint. I don't know.
The paint underneath?
The paint that I put in first, the latex paint. So
I thought you were supposed
try
to
not
use
to do
latex,
that. It's still flowing quite well. So I'm mixing these together, and because it's such a huge amount, I'm gonna mix it for 5 minutes. I'm not using the drill with the paddle. First of all, it's loaded with black crap. I don't know if you can see that down there. And I don't want to mix that in this fresh stuff.
I probably can go outside and clean that up. Probably should do that.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that right now. I really just want to get this mixed well. I'm mixing it for 5 minutes because it's a large volume. So.
Well, and it's nice and loose.
And
the
it's
other
loose.
one wasn't loose before.
And honestly, I think it's because I put so much latex paint in it. It just didn't like it. And it was a expensive learning lesson, but whatever. So what I ended up doing is mixing a little silver on this side, but that's got copper over it, not copper, bronze and black, and I like that better. So I'm going to be mixing up another batch, and it's going to be black and then bronze, and I'll go over the top of this side so it's all uniform.
I can see it. It's beautiful. Wow, you already poured that too. Wow, it looks beautiful now. Gorgeous. Love the colors. Fucking kidding me, I wasn't taping.
Anything?
Nothing.
So I went over this silver with black, with more black and more bronze. And I'm just smearing it with my hands, but then I'll, to blend it, but then I'll go over it again with a hair dryer, which you'll see in a minute. And it looks like it's
I like that silver in there. That's
higher
cool.
than, where I need to be. And I'll touch it up with some silver in a minute. How's this one look?
It looks good.
Good.
It just needs silver.
Okay.
What'd you just do?
I just pulled away the tape, and I'm bringing some of this down to the edges, so the edges are also covered with this resin. Now I just do it by hand, it's much simpler. And I'll probably go over it again with the hair dryer. So I get
Well, of course you have to, because now you're smeared it on top. So yeah, I
Right.
see that. Unfortunately, but probably don't even need to do it in there. You're not going to see it.
A little bit. Okay. So it's thick enough that I can pull this away and let it kind of ooze over the edge.
And now pull off the tape that's on the bottom. Messy job.
It's a really messy job.
It's oozing out pretty good over there, Mel. I think I would wait. I would wait.
So this is it. It's kind of hard to see it without all the glare, but it turned out pretty nice. I'm happy with it. So I've got bronze, black, predominantly black, then bronze, then touches of silver, which you can see in here. So I think it turned out pretty ethereal. Like it. And in an hour, we will pull away this and let it carefully drip over the edges, so the edges are also covered. So you can see why you need to cover your cabinets, because this is really, really messy, but it turned out pretty, so we're happy with it. It's very beautiful, very ethereal. And eventually we'll take that off the sink, and I'll probably do a bronze caulk back here to, leave the tape up, do a bronze caulk, then peel the tape off, and it'll be finished very nicely. Love it. Taking some video of this with the lights off, just to see if you can see the beauty of it better, because it's so highly glossy. From an angle, it looks like glass, which is nice. And that's exactly what you're looking for.